Today, the Indigenous Australians Minister, Ms Burney, she gave an emotional speech to Parliament saying why she is pushing for this Aboriginal-only Parliament called The Voice. And journalists loved it. They loved it. But for me, it still didn't excuse the racism or explain how this voice is going to help anyone. Instead, I was struck by this. Something Burney told me years ago about being raised by two Scottish relatives, Scottish.
I grew up in Whitton, down in the Riverina, a small country town. I was raised by Billy and Nina. They were my great aunt and uncle. We didn't have much, and I didn't know my dad until I was 27.
So when I hear that, I first think, Linda, you already have a voice. You are in Parliament. But second, it seems to me that Burney had a choice. After being raised by her Scottish side of the family, her mother's side, she had a choice to identify as Scottish, or to identify as Aboriginal, or just identify as Linda Burney, Australian, race irrelevant, which I think is the nicest one. In fact, the genealogists at darkemuexposed.org have traced her mother's side of the family all the way to King Robert II of Scotland. She is Scottish royalty at a distance. And my point is this: race is increasingly a choice. Indeed, 130,000 Australians who chose to call themselves Aboriginal in the last two censuses had decided not to do that in the census before. Are some of those actually fakes? I think very much so. But the idea that race is a hard line that divides us, that is a myth, and it's a dangerous one. And Labor is playing with fire.